Hello, I'm recording this video for the Literature Rights and Activism course at the University of Kent. And this week we are focusing on the popular uprising and the revolution in Syria. We are exploring how the creative work of Syrian women activists are raising awareness and inspiring change. My focus in this presentation will be Samar Yazbek's The Crossing, My Journey to the Shattered Heart of Syria. This is a autobiography and a life writing. Through this work, she's demonstrating that women in Syria are active agents of the revolution. They provide support to families, they participate in grassroots activism, they narrate their voices, and make the world hear about the Syrian cause. Samar Yazbek is a Syrian writer and journalist. She has written in a wide variety of genres. Several of them have been translated into multiple languages and received many awards. She was forced into exile by Assad's regime and she was living in France. When the uprising in Syria turned into a bloodshed, she decides to secretly go back to Syria and record her day-to-day experiences there. At the beginning of the book, she's more hopeful about the future of the revolution and she's mainly supporting women to gain their financial independence by opening their own businesses. However, we observe through the book that even the peaceful protesters are becoming armed forces because of the hostile environment, and she is also getting less and less hopeful about what is going to happen in Syria. I think it is good to start by looking at this map to understand where the events are taking place. She's mainly visiting the provinces of Idlib, which is in this red area. For instance, she's visiting Sarageb and writing about her experiences there. In my presentation, I will be mainly focusing on the literature's function in building resistance and resilience for the people who are at the center of the conflict. And I would like to start with mentioning the importance of communication and media for people who are facing the conflict. The headquarters did not have a landline phone or internet access, and mobile phones were out of action because the mobile reception for the whole region was cut off. Activists were buying satellite internet devices, which were not cheap, but were essential for organizations such as media offices in order to broadcast news and updates of what was happening. I think the use of media is a very big question today. So we would like to make this a central focus of our presentation. Josh will also mention this. Today we are seeing the footages of suffering and war crimes instantly and next to some other bombardment of information. Even though it's very important for people to communicate their voices, I believe that there is also a problem of or a result that we are alienating to what is actually happening to them, and sometimes dehumanizing even more by just carelessly looking in these information and media. I think this quote is important to maybe remind ourselves that while we are just watching it on our phone, people are putting themselves at risk to actually create this information and communicate to us. And to give more of the complex context in Syria, she mentions that the other countries' interference is also equally harmful for their revolution. We would better off if they left us to face Bashar alone, without interfering. Their interference only works in his favor. And another serious danger for the people is the fragmentation within people. It is as if every little community has become a state in itself. This is the devastation that follows tyranny. We have entered a strange time. The Islamists have issued fatwas that have justified looting and have given the battalions the green light to go ahead. For example, the people of the village of Kafruma started picking battles for the sake of looting, not for the sake of revolution. And to this end, I believe she's using her force as a writer to also inspire change and unity for the people of Syria. And in one of her conversations she had with other revolutionaries in Syria, she says to him that I'm not an Alawite. Yazbek is an Alawite. I'm not an Alawite, and you are not a Sunni. I am Syrian, and you are Syrian. And another way of using this power of expression is to make sense of the opposition for herself, which is shown in the next quote. Where do fighters like them get the strength from? Which of us is more a stranger to the meaning of life, them or us? Who gets closer to the essence of life? Those who live their lives in the presence of death and who laugh in its face. And one more obvious function of literature is to give an account of the lived experience and talk to the world how it actually feels to be under constant bombardment and live day to day in this hostile environment. So I will share these quotes that I found strong in communicating the lived experience. I found it terrifying, this relationship with death, and how it had become such an integral part of the way of life. Can you believe that a government and a state could bomb its own people? Cemeteries began to live among people, and another everyday part of life, like the shops and the streets that wind between the houses. I think in this code, it is also important to see the special details, descriptions she adds. And previously, she's also describing her journey to a bombarded museum and old minaret that is now collapsed. In this way, I think literature is a strategy to build up the broken space through storytelling, and she is preserving the space in her memory and bringing us the history also through her writing. And lastly, we see the darkening tone as the book continues in the last quote I'm sharing. Where do you even start trying to comprehend the spiraling cycle of endless massacre? That I feel even the very act of writing is becoming very difficult for her to continue. And to finish, I would like to um, say I think writings maybe the most important function is to build resilience for the writer herself and also for the people. In one of her interviews at Kara's Voices from the Syrian Academic Community program, she mentions that writing novels is a way of remembering herself, because I believe that it is not only Syria that is shattered, but also her very self is being shattered. And by writing, she's trying to put these pieces together. Um, and I would like to uh, bring a question to class upon reading this novel, but also we are also so aware that there are so many people, even now, living in these hostile environments. And my question is, how can we responsibly um, react to the knowledge, to this information, and how can we bring these two extreme life situations together? And I believe this quote could be useful while answering this question, because she is also asking this question herself. I realized I lived between two worlds, one when I entered Syria and another when I left. I gave lectures in many cities around the world trying to explain the truth of what was taking place in Syria and trying to understand how other people saw us. I would find myself tumbling into a deep and futile pit of emptiness that nothing could rescue me from except the prospect of returning to Syria. Then I would come back here and live with the revolutionaries and the ordinary civilians, and be struck by a sense of despondency and anger at the great injustice that had fallen on us as a people and a cause. Thank you so much for listening.